Welcome to the Globetrottin ADs. This podcast is for you, athletic directors, activity coordinators, coaches, and program associates based in international schools around the world. The Globetrottin ADs is proudly hosted by Nick DeForest from the American International School, Vienna, and Matt Fleming from the American International School of Budapest. Here they are now, Nick and Matt, and the Globetrottin ADs.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Globetrottin ADs. This week, we have a special guest. We're going to talk about athletic office internships and how that works in international schools. And we're happy to have our special guest today, Mich van Heerden. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that correct, but my Dutch is so-so. Mich is an intern with Frankfurt International School, so she's working over there with our good buddy Will Moncrief. She's originally from South Africa and going to school at Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. So we'll get to her in just a minute, but before we do, I'm going to say hello to my good buddy Nick over there in restricted Vienna, Austria. How are things there?
Yes, thanks, Matt. Yeah, they're different than a week ago, than 2 weeks ago, our last episode. Different than a week ago when I went to Frankfurt and met Mich in person and got to chat. And that was just a great coincidence because Will wrote early last week about the idea to have you on. And then a few days later, I found out I had to go to Frankfurt, so we got to chat a lot and then set this up. So actually really excited to have you on. I think just where you are at university and what you're doing at Frankfurt and your future plans are all really, really cool and really interesting for everyone to hear about. So, Mich, welcome to the show.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, give us a bit more. Fill out the bio just a little bit for us as we get started.
I'm Michelize, short is Mich, and I have a history which started in South Africa. I grew up there in an Afrikaans school until the age of 13 when I moved to the Netherlands with my parents and I joined the British school in the Netherlands. It was quite a bit of a culture shock to me. I only had half an hour of English lessons a week. So it was a big change, but one thing that really carried me through was field hockey. I got to the VSN and I automatically joined the field hockey. We were super lucky there. We played it all year long because we had the club list as hockey as well and ISST. And that really brought me to also, choose what I want to do in the future because international schools have meant so much to me. I got to travel all over the world, Morocco, Kenya, Beijing. It was amazing. And it shaped my future and determined the future I kind of want in international schools.
Cool. Very cool. Where are you then right now?
Yeah. I chose to actually stay in the Netherlands because I really wanted to get my Dutch passport as I knew it would have benefits to me in the future traveling all around the world. And so I looked up something. I knew I wanted to do something in sports. I wasn't exactly sure what yet. I looked at physical education, physiotherapy, but I ultimately decided to study international sports management and business. It was really, they described it as having a head for business and a heart for sports, cool. It kind of just triggered me. And when I went to the open day, they described this big balance between learning theory of management and business alongside doing more than 20 different sports in your first year alone almost. Wow. I mean, my final exam in my first year was a triathlon.
Wow.
That was it.
Okay. To organize it or to participate in it? Let's be clear.
Participate.
Yeah.
So they kind of they teach you how to manage and to organize, and then you have to apply it to yourself in how am I going to manage my schedule? How am I going to plan, promote this event? So it's this really big balance, and I just loved it so much, and I still experience it today here at FIS. I mean, you have 4 years in total. Mm-hmm. The first year you just plan and you learn about project management. the second year you get to do one internship already, which is amazing. And that's when I went to South Africa, actually, at a high performance institute. And it was just at the start of lockdown, and I got stuck there for 4 months, which wasn't too bad considering it was South Africa and it was quite nice and sunny. But then, I kind of determined, okay, this kind of high performance environment is not quite where I want to be. I need something where, I'm working more hands-on with people to help them make better decisions for their future and create opportunities for younger students. And then it's an amazing program. I would really advise it to anyone out there who loves sports and isn't quite sure what they want to do with it yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, even in the third year, we get to choose a minor, almost like American universities where you can do anything with that minor. I was going to go to the UK to study dance at first, but then I chose to stay in the Netherlands, and I looked to sports commerce, where you kind of learn to understand what people want in the sports industry. Mm-hmm. And you also get to start your own business in my degree. You have to go through the entire process of starting your own business, which you need to learn how to manage the sports inside of it. And I think that really benefits me today as well, as you need to be creative in all aspects of, budgeting, advertisements, what the people want. Right. And so it's a degree that offers so many different things. Well, you also play about 2 hours of sport each day.
It was interesting what you said in the beginning. We were talking about your background, how when you first got to I'm going back to when you were a kid, actually, or when you were a student in the international school there in the British school. And you mentioned how you didn't have much English, but how sports was a big part of helping you to get integrated into the school or maybe make some friends. So, I always promote that here at our school. Like this is a great way for new kids to get involved in the school community. Parents get involved as well by immersing themselves in the sports program, getting involved, getting into it. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because I love to hear these stories about how that helped you to get into your system or get into school and make new friends and just get settled in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, during class time, I was so focused on just getting the work done, understanding what the teachers are telling me. I didn't have time to make friends. Even at lunchtime, you're still kind of trying to find your space, what's going on. But as soon as you go out with your team on the hockey field, you connect and you do team building things. And I showed up almost at the start of the season when a lot of the players were also still getting to know each other as a team. And here it was time during, exercises or practice runs where I could chat with them and I could talk about something that I knew really well. Mm-hmm. So this is an area, even though my English wasn't that great, I knew what I was talking about because I've been playing hockey all my life. Yeah. And so it gave me this sense of confidence to actually communicate with them and make friends with them. And, so we would cycle together to the hockey pitches, and we'd cycle back home together. And in that time, it's that time where you really make friends. And even with my parents, my mum and my dad had his work colleagues that he talked to, but my mum didn't really know anyone. And although the international community is really supportive of new parents, mm-hmm. Standing next to a hockey pitch with other parents, what else do you do except, cheer on your child, but you also connect with them. They give you advice. So it really gave a well-rounded support system in that I had coaches that got to know me really well and weren't just trying to get me through my exams or classes. They were just trying to help me have fun. Yeah. And I think that was really important to me, and it really built me into the person and shaped me to the leadership qualities I have today as well.
Yeah. That's great, because there's still that connection. It's still a valid connection, right? Having gone through that experience. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, and I think that's you had the field hockey background before you came, but Matt, as you said, and I know we can have all of our students be athletes at our school. They don't have to be athletes before they come. And that's often how we sell it, is the connection, right? So, often it's, maybe families from Asia where they didn't play sports before and they're really concentrated on their studies. And we tried to, no, get out there, get out on the field. You can play. You don't have to be a superstar. And that'll help you build these bonds and then ultimately help you in the classroom. Right. So, yeah, that's really great.
Definitely.
Well, you mentioned, so I know your program. We're going to talk about the program a little bit more. I thought I knew the program because I thought it was about international schools and really working in schools. But the program itself is about like anything sport related. So you could, as a student, take it any which way you want. Is that right?
Basically, I mean, we go from true management to complete accounting, finance, entrepreneurship. It's really so broad, and you can apply it to almost anything. I mean, we have students working at really commercial places like Nike, Under Armour. We have students at international schools, but we also have students at the Olympic committees and other, charity sports organizations. And we even have students who, for their final internships, get to do the actual business plan that they created in those entrepreneurship semesters. Oh, wow. So you can pick and choose whatever you want.
That's great because, Matt and I are in our Globetrottin Athlete Network. One of the things is athletics is academic, and there's so many great careers out there that you can just do a bit of athletics in, right? You can take if you're interested in athletics, you can obviously be a lawyer or so many different things, like you mentioned, and tie it to athletics, right? To bring your passion into your work and then enjoy your work that much more, right? It's great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we apply it to every area. I mean, I even hear in a lot of management areas where they talk about, for example, team cycling and how a team works together and how a management team should then work together. Right. I mean, I see it here in the office every day, how we work together as a team. It's a lot of energy and there's a lot of support. And it's almost how I would, remember my field hockey team in high school. It's the same dynamic.
Yeah. Well, speaking about that, you're currently at Frankfurt International School, as we mentioned in the beginning. So what can you tell us about what you're doing there at the moment?
Well, I'm at the moment internship here, and I'm doing what I think a lot of athletic directors would be jealous of me doing. I mean, I know in the survey that I read from Mich and his article, a lot of ADs wish they had more time to spend with their athletes and the coaches. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm spending all my time with the athletes and coaches and the supporters of the athletes. And I'm having a ton of fun doing it. I mean, I was very, very lucky for Will and Marty to provide me this opportunity. They really took Nick's advice in appointing someone who's not them to kind of lead a student athletic council. So that's what I'm doing. My primary role involves working with juniors and seniors that are involved in the Student Athletic Council here at FIS. I mean, and they arrange the tournaments for the scorekeeping, the entertainment, the spirit days, the posters, the senior, everything almost related to spirit and sports they're part of. And I get to help them develop the leadership skills in this area. So my main focus is writing a strategic plan focused on the sustainable future of the Student Athletic Council, and also the warrior spirit, which they represent. And the warrior spirit is Frankfurt International School's, school spirit is we're the warriors. Yeah. And I mean, I have complete freedom in, testing and implementing on a small scale different methods that I've researched with this group and in the whole school. And then if it works, it's a recommendation I make in this strategic plan I have, or some of it I've already been able to implement, and we've seen positive, great responses, positive feedback about it, which is really good for me as well. Yeah. So, I mean, tomorrow we'll be sending out a survey that I've developed for athletic directors in really finding out what their student athletic council is doing, their similar student leadership groups. I really want to see, is there a best practice? Is there a difference in how they're being run, or is the core of it the same? Is there something we can learn from each other? And I'm really, really excited about the results. And so that is what I am mainly doing here, is that type of research. But I mean, I also get to read and send a lot of emails, organize uniforms, join in different meetings, learn as much as I can. I also have a large fun in creating content for social media, which I've always enjoyed, you know, the whole commerce side of it and creating content. So I get to do a bit of everything, and I'm loving every second of it. I hope that interns in the future have a positive experience like I do here. It's just been great.
Yeah, it sounds like a very rich experience, and what a great place to be in, because it's knowing from what I know from Will, it's just a hopping place. Frankfurt, there's a lot going on there. It's a bigger school, a lot of programs, a lot of tradition there. So it's a great place for an intern to be, I believe. So
I really, behind me now is like some wash stands full of uniforms. And in the other room has some uniforms to wash, because I bring them home to wash. And I like how you mentioned, I don't know if people caught it, but you said, I get to, do uniforms. You don't have to, you get to do it. And I get to wash uniforms too, which is great. But no, really, you mentioned the survey, and you talked about that's really what ADs want to do. And they, just what you said, talk to students, help students find the right path for them, and really be hands-on. But we get just so bogged down with
it's tough. It's
so much other stuff. So I kind of want to be an intern in my office too, where I can just do that and not the other stuff. But no, why I mentioned it was it's super important. So Frankfurt is super lucky to have someone that's able to do that and dig in, and because there's so much to gain for the whole community for that. So
especially in these times, right? So we're just getting back into, it's different, of course, we know everywhere in the world, but we're getting back into having competitions, right? And tournaments. And we've been able to do that here this season. So it's like going from 0 to 100 fast here. It's been quite busy over the last 5-6 weeks, but it's been great. I mean, I would trade for anything in the world, but with that comes all the stuff that I was doing 2 years ago before the pandemic started. It's all coming back heavily, right? So that takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of brain power too. So stuff I would like to be able to do is I can't just get just yet with working more hands-on stuff with kids. I've been able to do some things, but man, having an intern, whoa. So
did you get to Mich, did you get to choose that, or was that something where maybe Will said, hey, look, this is an area we want to build up and we'd like you to run with it? Or did you come in and say, I really want to work with students and do that? Or
well, it kind of came from both sides. One of my favorite parts of why I wanted to work at FIS is because of the spirit that I really see they promote, and I miss the school spirit. And they kind of asked me initially, like, what would you want to do? And it was almost along the same lines, where it's like directly linked to doing something with the students, focusing on them. And they said, well, we have this student athletic council, and we need someone to come in and kind of have a look at it. So I decided on the final question and the final focus of my paper, but it was kind of, the main focus was they needed someone for this, but they didn't initially say that. It was still very much, what would you like to do? And so I was happy it came out in that way. I also wanted to mention before, Matt, like what you said, was, the time getting back to normal things and trying to balance all the demands from 2 years ago. Even in the first 2 weeks, I heard a lot of the students telling me, like, it's so great to have someone that just focuses on this. Even some of the teachers that work with the service groups that said like they get immediate reactions about it, and there's a lot more opportunity for them to develop and work on it because there's more time to do it. And especially now, because we have students who we need to teach how to do the score tables for volleyball, and they haven't been here for 2 years to be able to learn how to do it. So a lot of them have never experienced any of this stuff before, even the leaders of the group. And so it gives us a chance to experience and learn new things together. But it also means if you want to implement something new, now's the time, because there's no kind of old way of doing things.
And that's the thing, like leadership and captains and all these things. If you get in front of it, it just makes the programs better, makes the teams better, it makes the atmosphere better for everybody, right? And that's often what we face is you can't get ahead of it because you don't have time. So you're just dealing with it after, like, bad sportsmanship. Well, maybe if you had a captain's council beforehand and you talked about what's the right way to behave on the field when things don't go your way, then you never have to deal with bad sportsmanship after. But when you're always like chasing your tail, it's hard.
That's why a big part of my new survey coming out is looking to see, is there a baseline we can identify, a set of standards that we need to have for a successful season or term or year for this council, and then where can we build on that?
Right.
And I'm really interested to see if even we can identify a baseline, or if it needs to be personalized to the school or to the age group of the students.
Right. Well, you mentioned survey twice, and I want, which is great. No, really, which is good. But I want to mention then that I will link the survey in the meeting notes and put it in our next newsletter. So if you don't get it from myself or Will personally, you'll get it from a Globetrottin AD newsletter to fill in and help Mich in her strategic plan, I guess, right? You're using lots of good buzzwords too. That's really, really good.
This is the strategic internship. So the first one's an operational internship, then you have a strategic internship, and then you have your graduation internship.
Super. Well, I think, for you or any intern in your program, use this network to get more results from your survey or bounce ideas off. That's great, because it'll help us, right? Ultimately.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. That's the final hope, is that it doesn't just help FIS and this athletics and activities program, but potentially as many as possible out there.
Yeah.
So if a school would like to have someone like you, what should they do?
Brian, Will, and Marty. Before they can really contact anyone, they have 3 options. Like I said, we have 3 internships. They can do 3 options. I know Bangkok has International School Bangkok. They choose the operational interns a lot of the time. It's 10 weeks. We implement 1 project, 1 event. That's it.
Okay.
Or they can choose the strategic internship, which is 20 weeks. It's 18 weeks, sorry. Advising a direction for a question or an issue that you have. Then the last one's the graduation one, which is 20 weeks, and it's very research-based.
Okay.
So it's not a practical side to it. They can choose to do one of those. The first one is on its own, or you can do, like me, have it in 1 year time and do both the internships. So, there's benefit in that. But mainly they can contact anyone from Amsterdam University on the International Sports Management and Business page. We have it short for ISMB. But specifically, we have Claire Powell. She's the internship and internationalization coordinator. She already has a lot of contacts at international schools, and she invites you to a system where students can access and go have a look at all the different projects and organizations.
Cool.
And we also have a website where she puts out different projects. So if there's a specific project that they would like to have done or question answered, she puts it on there. We have a look at it, and then the process starts automatically. Cool. It usually goes pretty quick. Here, it was a 1 week process. it went out on the Monday. I had an interview the Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
It was done the Friday.
Yeah. And then pack your bags. You're off to Frankfurt.
Yeah, so that's it. They can also contact Akai. He was the previous athletic director in London, and he actually helped coordinate this internship. So cool. It's really anyone from the management team at ISMB that they can contact, and they'll make sure it goes to the right streams.
That's cool. And I think a lot of us maybe heard about it, or I mean, I knew and heard lots of presentations about it, but until you maybe see someone at your school like you that doing great things, or realize it's not a burden on the AD, but a big help ultimately for that year, but maybe many years in the future. It's really a cool thing. So it's definitely not an ad. We're not getting paid by your university to do this.
No.
We think this is not a sponsorship podcast. It could be.
They don't know
if they
I'm
want to
doing
pay.
this.
If they want to pay, no, they could. No, but no, absolutely not. It's just. I mean, you're great. Got a great story. International school. The background anyway, but just a great program that I think is worthwhile. So we definitely want to have it on. We do have a few paid sponsors that we're going to go to right now, and then come back with some more.
Coach Evaluator is the premier coach evaluation software for schools and athletic organizations and preferred coach evaluation solution of the NIAAA and the Positive Coaching Alliance. The system is completely customizable with an always growing evaluation template library for athletic directors to reference. There are not only evaluations for ADs to use, but also self-evaluations and parent-player evaluations of coaches. Learn more about digitizing and simplifying your coach evaluation process by visiting www.coachevaluator.com. Mention Globetrottin ADs to receive a $200 discount on the yearly rate.
Kukri are a global multi-sport clothing brand specializing in providing the world's most prestigious schools with bespoke made and designed team uniforms for students of all standards and abilities. If you are frustrated by inconsistent colors, branding, costs, and sizing across your school's uniforms, then it's time to discuss an offering where every sport is available from softball to soccer for male and female athletes at rates to suit your budget. To find out how Kukri could elevate the apparel of your student athletes to a professional level, email the team at contact@kukrisports.com. A dedicated sales manager will offer you a quote today. Mention this ad and receive a special offer on your coach or PE staff order.
All right, and welcome back. So before we wrap things up, just another question, Mich, about the program. This program you're involved in the University of Amsterdam, is it specifically for international students, or is it just for Dutch kids, or how does it go?
Well, my program is specifically focused on international students. The majority of our students, I think we have students from over 70 different countries over the years. I mean, at one time at the university, we have a course that is identical to the English one, but it's really focused on staying within the Netherlands, and the course is in Dutch. So the Dutchies usually do the Dutch course, whereas the international students do the international one. I mean, the Dutch students that we do have are either like me, because technically I am a Dutch student who has grown up in an international community in the Netherlands, or they've gone and studied in the US or somewhere else in the world and come back to the Netherlands and now continue in an international degree.
Okay. So that's good. It's good. Sounds like a great mix. Sounds like the kids we work with, which is
yeah, basically.
All right. So what's next? What's your future plans?
Well, I'm very, very excited about the fact that London is next on my list. I'm going to do my master's at Loughborough in London. Oh. I'm really excited about it. I think I must have been the first person to send in my application when they opened. I'm going to study sports business and leadership. I want to learn as much as possible as I can from the sports industry. I feel there's so many big, successful sports companies and organizations out there that have such great that we can apply already where we are today. in athletics and activities, and I want to learn from them as soon as possible. I'm really excited about it. Living in London as well, I think will be quite exciting. Bit of a different experience to Germany and the Netherlands. It'll be focused on working with companies like UK Sports, Wimbledon, even Google, and it's quite broad and it's very practical. I think I'm lucky my university has a good relationship with them, and it's been described that it's almost like my degree I'm currently doing now, just at a bit of a higher level and a bit more in depth.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, you're going from one great city to another, and then next year to another one. So, I mean,
I'm really excited.
Well, actually, throw South Africa in there. I mean, that's pretty great. Pretty great to track it in the places that you've been. This is great. What about? So we want to ask everybody that's usually on our show is in different places around the world, and you've been in Frankfurt for a few months now. What should someone not miss when they go to Frankfurt, or what's the most favorite thing for you so far in the area where you're living?
It's really difficult. I've been very lucky to have a colleague, Lisa, who has been able to show me around everywhere. I'm very happy we're quite similar in age, and she's also from the Netherlands originally. And so she has shown me most of Frankfurt. A lot of it has to do with food.
Yeah. That's okay. That's different than the Netherlands and South Africa.
We eat a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the city is beautiful. It's very different to what I'm used to. It's a bit more diverse, and it's very active, and like something they should not miss at all is just outside of Frankfurt, in between Kronberg and Oberursel, where the school is, you have a mountain, a big nature park, and at the top of the hill, there's a bench that overlooks the sunset.
Cool.
Of the entire Frankfurt. It's one of my favorite places here so far, other than actual FIS, where I'm having tons of fun. It's so beautiful, and you almost see it when you drive out of school into school in the mornings as well. It's this beautiful sunset in the forest, and it's a must-do for whoever here.
Well, that's super funny because, great. I don't know the bench, but the area, I was so surprised when I first went to Frankfurt so many years ago that it was, hidden in the forest there, because Frankfurt is known as just this big, business city, right? And then you just go a few U-Bahn stops out, and you're in the forest. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I call them mountains because compared to the Netherlands, these are mountains. They're not hills. They're massive mountains. Yeah. And I miss the mountains in South Africa. And so the mountains here, it's really this cozy, homey feel, the mist in the mornings and the evenings, and it's beautiful. And you're so close to the city still, you can do almost anything.
Just want to say thanks again for joining Mich, for joining us today and telling your story about your experience so far. And who knows, maybe you'll get some listeners out there who will either apply to go to this program, or maybe apply to hopefully get an intern such as yourself within their schools. So it's just a really cool program to listen about. And, I'm inspired, and I'm thinking, wow, what kids do I know that might be interested in such a program? Because I think this would be amazing to pass on and get kids involved into, because there's so many cool opportunities and so many interesting things you can do. And in so many different directions related to sports and teamwork and just a lot of interesting things. So thanks for sharing what you've learned so far and what you hope to do down the road.
Thank you so much for having me. This was incredible. Also a learning opportunity. Loved it. And anyone, student, AD, anyone, feel free to contact me at any point with questions or interest, or if you just want to have a chat.
Until next week, this has been another episode of the Globetrottin ADs.